Game On Wisconsin, live from the Green Bay Distillery. I'm Jacob Westendorf here with Matt Freilich.
What's up, guys?
And Todd Varney. So let's hit it, guys. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Green Bay Distillery, the site today for the Game On Wisconsin Camp Coverage Show. I'm your host today. I'm Jacob Westendorf. You can follow me on Twitter at the handle right over here today. I'm joined by Matt Freilich, who is with me right across from me here, not in the Game On Wisconsin studios, again from the Green Bay Distillery. Matt, thanks for coming out.
Absolutely, man. Hell of a day out here at training camp. Beautiful weather. Very, very hospitable with the training camp and also our friends here at the Green Bay Distillery. We've had lunch here, damn near had dinner here. It's been a great time, but absolutely, I'm excited to chat with everyone because we were able to actually watch training camp today, which was a blast, got good seats. And we, between myself, you, Jimmy, and Todd, who will come on later, we've got a lot to talk about and break down that we were able to see.
That we do. I think that there are a lot of things going on right now. I think obviously training camp is a big deal. The first thing I kind of want to get into is just, this is my first time at camp in about 3 years. And just kind of want to get into what it's like now for you as a local to have fans back in the building, to have everyone kind of moving around. It looks relatively normal again. In training camp, we kind of looked at it. There was a line today wrapped around the corner to watch a random practice in the middle of August.
I haven't been to a training camp in probably like 11 years. I think we recapped it. I think it was the replacement ref season. So I was there before that. But like, it's fun to be back. I honestly, like I said, I haven't been here in over a decade in most of my adult life. So it's been good to get back. But I was reminded of how it's convenient to get here early because there were fans lined up at about 9:45, and I think it took probably 20-30 minutes to get in. Todd showed up a little bit with Trubisky jersey and was getting heckled as he had to stand in line, but it's awesome, man. Like it's cool just to see people come out and support, and especially the young kids, the people that normally don't probably get to go to the games and get this up close and personal look at their favorite teams and their favorite players. It's awesome. And it's fantastic that fans are back now, especially after last year. It was kind of a whirlwind. Waiting to get the bike situation back. I know they got a sponsorship going on that's going to charity, but letting some neighborhood kids get in the bikes would be awesome at some point. But I imagine that'll happen in 2022. Fingers crossed.
Definitely what we're hoping for. You obviously want to see all the stuff back to normal. Something that was not necessarily normal, but something that we've all kind of been hoping for today at practice was the performance in one-on-ones. And the first thing that jumped out to me was that of Jay Sternberger. And Jace had a couple nice plays today. He had one where he had a one-handed, like Odell Beckham kind of catch. He had another one where he pinned the ball on his back, had a deep ball over his shoulder. He was incredible today, I thought. And what I want to get to, Matt, is obviously we know Robert Tunyon's a starting tight end. We know that. We know Big Dog's going to get his reps. But what I want to get to here is what are your thoughts on what if Jay Sternberger can be that dude? And you guys might see our other CEO, that's Hadley Christensen running through here. Hadley, everybody. To get back to it, what are your thoughts on the ability potentially of this tight end if Jay Sternberger is able to be the dude they thought he was in 2022 or 2021?
I mean, that's been a thing the last probably week or so, where especially now that Cobb's in the building, like it just muddies the receivers that are the tight ends and the receivers and how that's going to work with maybe some of the bigger body guys. Jace being suspended. DeGuara finally came back today. We saw Daphne kind of being ginger on an injury too. You know what you're going to get out of Mercedes Lewis, but at the end of the day, like we thought the tight end room was pretty packed, and now it's really just not. I think Jace has an opportunity to take advantage because he was, third round pick that they were able to snag, and out of a year that had really good tight ends. But it's kind of his to go and get. I mean, LaFleur's always liked him. They like the versatility. He can line up at fullback if necessary. I don't think he's ideal there, but he was able to do that his rookie year when he was healthy, and I think he's got a great shot to at least be the number 2 tight end. DeGuara, I think, has a soft spot in LaFleur's heart, but at the end of the day, like him and DeGuara do different things, him and Sternberger. I think he's got a great opportunity. Unfortunately, he's going to miss a couple games, and the offense might get rolling, and instead of 6 receivers, they might have 7 at this point with a couple bigger bodies that we'd like to see out here. So we'll see what happens. I think he's got a great shot, but he did look actually pretty damn good today. I'll have to admit that.
That he did, and it didn't matter. The nice part was to see it didn't matter who the quarterback was, whether it was Aaron Rodgers or Jordan Love. I don't think he had anything thrown his way from Kurt Benkert, and a couple of them were nice plays on guys like Darnell Savage. During practice, we kept talking about reps that matter. And what I mean by that is if you're a young defensive back, making a play against a receiver who's not going to make the roster is not going to be a rep that necessarily matters that much for you. But if you're Eric Stokes and you're going up against Devontae Adams, and he had a couple nice plays on that today as well, those are reps that are going to matter. Let's move to Jordan Love here, because that's one conversation today. It's the first time I've seen him in person, so that certainly is a big deal. Could potentially be the future of the franchise, depending on what happens the rest of this year. Rodgers said yesterday in his media availability that relationship with Gutekunst is, quote, thawing. And what is the phrasing he used? Progressing, a work in progress. Yeah, that is the best way to put it. And I think that something that is interesting is how Jordan Love develops this year. I am one of those people. I don't believe that it's set in stone that Jordan Love is going to be the Packers quarterback in 2022. He may not be the Packers quarterback ever. I think if he doesn't take a step and prove that he's ready, then the Packers will try and figure out something to work with Aaron Rodgers. And I think that's something they're going to try and do this year as well, is just figure that out, because you want that relationship to be in a good place when everything starts. That being said, today, some flashes, you certainly see it. Jordan Love hit a deep ball to MVS over Jair Alexander. We'll get to that here in a minute too, because I thought MVS had a really good day, and it was against, again, reps that matter against guys like Jair Alexander. But that being said, once we got to team, there were some rough moments for Jordan Love, who looks like you could tell he's still very much a young quarterback trying to learn his way through the offense.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I tried before we started recording, I was sitting here and I'm like, I don't want to take everything for just exactly face value of what it was on one day coming out here for 2 hours, right? But there are a lot of things that are glaring, and we'll get to that throughout this hour. But like one of those things where if Jordan Love's really looked like this for the last week, Packer fans should be concerned. He didn't look great in the individual drills where he's working. They're trying to throw into the basket or into the net. Didn't look great. I think he maybe got 1 out of 8. Maybe he had a second one that snuck in there. And then when they switched into the 11 on 11 and we're actually running the offense, 2-minute drill, and it was bad. Like there was some progression stuff that I didn't like to see. He was getting through his progressions, but it wasn't really timely. He was rushed quite often, and it didn't look great. But again, one sample size of 2 hours that I've actually seen with my own eyes and not read on Twitter or seen a small sample clip from his own camp, putting stuff out of his training over in the spring. But Jordan didn't look great today. I mean, at the end of the day, he looked great when he got the ball out of his hand quickly, but besides that, it wasn't awesome.
No, it's very clear who the best quarterback on this team is. Jordan is definitely going to take some time, and we knew that when he came out of college. I guess my next question to you to follow up on that is there's been a lot of discussion about Aaron Rodgers and his press conference that he had coming back in his most recent press conference and all that drama from this offseason. What are your thoughts on him and the relationship between he and this team now and moving forward?
It's progressing, right? Use his own words. It's getting better. I think it's improving, and I think the play will speak for itself. Winning solves everything, right? If they come out and all of a sudden start 0-3, that's going to suck. They start 3-0 and have a really, really good opportunity to probably go down to San Francisco and win a game. Like that'd be awesome. But really, I think it's going to get better as it progresses. I think the relationship with him and Matt LaFleur is very, very similar to what it's been for a few years now. So I'm not worried about that. With the front office and whatnot, he kind of got his wish with Randy Cobb. That's fine. But other than that, I think it's going to be a work in progress, like you said. And we're only going to, I think once we get into actual games, even through the preseason, we're going to be fine. The Packers are going to be fine. They're going to figure things out. Goody will take a step back. Mark Murphy will worry about whatever else is going on in the Titletown district, and he'll take care of things that way. But I think just some inadequacies within the hierarchy, honestly, were exposed in the last couple months, and it sucks. It had to go down this way, and it put everyone on pins and needles for 3 or 4 months. But at the end of the day, 12's back, thank goodness, and it was awesome to see him sling it around today. And you could tell he was having a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah, he's pretty good. According to our sources in the building, Jimmy Christensen is the source, said Rodgers threw the ball, hit the net from 50 yards away, nothing but net. And I guess he pointed at Mark Murphy and pointed to his biceps. So 12's having a little bit of fun out there. And we know when 12's having fun and when he's laser focused like he is, that's when he plays his very best. So the Packers looking into getting Rodgers to play his best. I've said this a bunch. What's been hanging in the balance all offseason is that Aaron Rodgers, when he's on the team, this team is a Super Bowl contender ready to win right now. And you've seen that roster on full display. You know, we were talking about who's their second most important player, and then we're having a debate between David Bakhtiari, Elton Jenkins, Jair Alexander, Kenny Clark, and we just kind of kept going, and we're like, this is a really good problem to have. That the Packers have that many guys you can have that discussion with. But the number one guy was Aaron Rodgers. If he was on the team, they have a chance to win a championship. If Jordan Love is the starting quarterback, well, now you're looking at a team that can maybe win the division, but they're not a Super Bowl contender unless everything just broke absolutely perfectly. And that almost never happens. It's hard enough to win a championship when you have a championship-ready roster and a championship-ready quarterback. Now you're adding in a guy that maybe doesn't quite know what he needs to do just yet. So that'll be interesting to see how this whole season works. Like I said, I personally think if you ask me right now where we're sitting a year from now, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be the starting quarterback in 2022. I just think that there's so much that they did this offseason, and I think that there's so much that the Packers are going to be able to do to try and fix things. You mentioned Randall Cobb. Well, why is Randall Cobb here? Because Aaron Rodgers wanted it. That's why Randall Cobb is here. You know, what are some things as to that they could do the rest of the season? They're going to be all in to win that title, and then I think they're going to figure out a way to build around Aaron Rodgers again. So that's our last thought on that topic. Let's move to the defensive side of the ball, because that's where the most important money is going to be made this year as far as the 2021 Packers go. So my question to you, Matt, to start everything is, what do you think about the Packers and their defense, where they're at? Were they good enough last season and just had a bad game, or do you think they have some steps? Where do they need to improve the most right now going into this regular season?
I think that they need to improve up front. And that goes with the edges, right? That goes with Preston Smith. That goes with Rashawn Gary, Zadarius Smith. We saw a ton of Jonathan Garvin today out here, number 53. That was awesome to see. Really, it's going to be the continuity. You got a couple guys coming off the street. Got a rookie in there. There's mostly Eric Stokes is what I was referring to, but TJ Slayton's made some strides. Devontae Campbell's been pretty decent, but the new, just with the new defense, it's going to take time. And like, I already can imagine like early September, a couple games in, people are going to be freaking out because the Saints hung up a couple points or whatever the team might be. And I think people have to understand, like, it's going to take a while to get that defense down. Rodgers has talked about it. He said it's one of the most unique defenses he's ever had to go up against. And that's outside of the Packers building too. That's just across the entire league. So I think really they're just going to have to find themselves a little bit. There's a couple moving parts here and there. I think the secondary is pretty much solidified. It kind of depends on Kevin King's availability with his injury. Potentially could move Chandon stay him in the nickel corner. We saw Jair a little bit playing that today, which I love. Inside, like I said, linebacker Devondre Campbell got some looks. Chris Barnes got some snaps. Obviously, no Kamal Martin. Ty Summers was out there. And then the front, the defensive front, I think is going to be solid. You're still going to see the Kenny Clark. You're still going to see Dean Lowry. That's going to be for sure. Lancaster got most of the snaps today. I think there's other opportunities for guys like Slayton or maybe Kiki to get in there, but I think it's fine, but like I said, I think the biggest glaring thing is just reps. You're going to need to get those reps in because there are different pieces at all three different levels of the game or of the defense, and they're just going to need to get that time and that real snaps. And I think being able to get those inter-squad practices with the Jets in a couple weeks is going to be huge. Like, that's going to help a ton. You're going to be able to see different things. You're going to be able to go up against a team that's frankly not that good, rookie quarterback. I think they're going to be able to eat a little bit and get some confidence going into the preseason.
I do as well. And I think that, the Packers are in a good situation where they have a chance, like you mentioned, to practice against some of those guys. The Jair Alexander to the slot thing is an interesting thing to keep track of as we go through this offseason. He said last year, that he prefers the island. This year, he's talking about playing the slot, and that's something where it could be Eric Stokes and Kevin King on the outside. Josh Jackson had maybe his best training camp practice of his career obviously he needs to put a few more together before we feel confident in him. As I mentioned, we are at the Green Bay Distillery Live. I'm Jacob Westendorf, joined by Matt Freilich over here. We have some other people with us, but before we bring them in, let's talk about what we're going to be doing here in a month over at the Green Bay Distillery. Boys?
What's up, everybody? It is your boys from Lombardi's Bar, Dan the bartender, Todd, Jimmy. We are here to let you know that we have the first ever Game On Wisconsin party coming to you live at the Green Bay Distillery, September 19th. Put it on your calendars now.
September 19th? Is this my birthday party, guys?
No, absolutely not.
Farthest thing from your birthday party. We're not celebrating Todd's birthday. We are hanging out at the Green Bay Distillery, drinking some alcohol, eating some food, and watching NFL football. Be there.
That's right. September 19th, we will be live here at the Green Bay Distillery with a chance to win some prizes, meet and greet all of your favorite Game On Wisconsin people, and hang out with idiots like us. Speaking of those idiots, I'm joined by one of my personal favorite idiots, the guy who was wearing a Mitchell Trubisky jersey out and about today. You may call him Todd Varney, he of Lombardi's Bar. Todd, welcome to the show. Thanks for having us. Please unmute yourself before you start talking to us.
Good call. I didn't realize that Matt was such a professional and had taken care of that for me. Wonderful to be out of that awful jersey. I wore it around for practice, for lunch, to the pro shop after lunch. I bought this fantastic shirt, represent cousin Devontae, and Jimmy told me that I had paid my debt to society and I could remove the shirt.
That seems fair. So let's start for those of you that maybe missed the show when this came about. How did it come about that you had to wear a Mitchell Trubisky jersey to training camp?
I lost a lot of beer bets on Lombardi's Bar, like a lot, last season. And so when we had Chris Barnes on the show, we asked him what he thought would be an appropriate punishment for that. And he said wearing a Trubisky jersey to camp would probably suffice.
And that it did. Mitchell Trubisky, obviously a former Packers legend, no longer with the Chicago Bears. Unfortunately, now the backup for the Buffalo Bills as they are dealing with the Red Rifle, Andy Dalton. And, of course, obviously you have Justin Fields there as a potential starter at some point this season. The good news, Todd, Aaron Rodgers is back. He's the starting quarterback today. Jordan Love took some reps today, and so did Kurt Benkert, as we saw through that. But the one thing that you had your eye on today was the battle between the punters. And I want to start there with J.K. Scott and Ryan Winslow taking some snaps and reps. It's something we noticed, and I don't know if this is normal or not. I'm not at practice every day, admittedly. I pay attention as much as I can, but I'm like Todd. I hate kickers, I hate punters, and I hate special teams in general. But what are your thoughts on this punter situation right now?
I didn't see J.K. Scott kick a ball today, and that was awesome. That's what I was hoping to see coming in. Not that Ryan Winslow looked a whole lot better. Definitely had his fair share of shanks. But it was nice to see them giving somebody else a look. And if it's not going to be Ryan Winslow's job, at least they're making J.K. Scott sweat a little bit. Maybe he'll earn it. Before I got in to practice, Jimmy told me that J.K. Scott did touch a tackling dummy. So I don't know if he was just moving it or what was happening there. But if that's true, that's amazing. That's incredible. That's a huge step forward for him.
That it is, and I'm with you, Todd. Never punt. Punting's stupid, so just score points and put the ball in the end zone. I want to shout out everybody. I'm Jacob Westendorf, joined by Todd Varney of Lombardi's Bar. Shout out everybody in the chat. Lambo Labo, our most faithful and loyal listener. Labo, let me know, man. If you're in Green Bay, this is the weekend. Let me buy you a drink or two. I think I owe you a couple. And I would like to point out again, that is not my burner account. AJ, thank you for hanging out in here. Mr. Greg Saunders, appreciate you in here. Brandon Snide, you're all right, I guess. And my grandma, Georgia Schnorr, is in the house today, ladies and gentlemen. The queen.
Grandma Georgia.
And, of course, the boys from Titletown Lounge, who may very well be here with us sometime this week. That remains to be seen. Todd, what I'm going to get here is we've been to training camp. This is my first time here in I think it's my first time here since, what do you call it, Mashed Potato Mike. Coach Mike McCarthy was the head coach in Green Bay. It's my first time here since that was going on. When was the last time you were at camp?
It was a different Mike that was the coach the last time I was here. Not Mike Sherman, but Mike Holmgren.
Wow.
Yeah, I believe I was here after they won Super Bowl 31. I think was the last time I was here.
Wow. Well, that's a good memory to have. So I guess it was after they won Super Bowl 41, not before, right? That's what you said?
Correct. Well, I was here those 2 years and then haven't been back
so
since.
100% of the time, ladies and gentlemen, you just heard that. 100% of the time that Todd Varney comes to training camp, the Green Bay Packers go to the Super Bowl. So
Yep.
I think we can start making our reservations to LA right now. Is that right?
Absolutely. Not just because of that. This is the first time I've felt really confident in a team going into the season. And I think they're going to make it the Super Bowl this year. I honestly do. That's my pick. I think they're going to win it all.
That'll be absolutely phenomenal. We were both at the NFC Championship game this last year. We don't need to talk about it. Don't need to rehash it. But what I do want to do with you, Todd, the NFC is loaded. You look at the NFC West, you could have 2, maybe 3 teams that you could tell me they made the Super Bowl, and I wouldn't be like, really? No way. Look at the NFC East. Okay, that's pretty bad. The NFC South, obviously there's Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the defending Super Bowl champions. My mom's favorite quarterback, Thomas Edward Brady Jr. And then in the NFC North, of course, you've got the Packers. Where do you think Green Bay stacks up in the NFC? Well, I guess I shouldn't ask that because you just said you thought they were winning the Super Bowl. Who do you think then are the biggest challengers for Green Bay to get back to the big dance?
It's really hard to say. I like the Rams to bounce back. I know they weren't quite where a lot of people expected them last year. Matt Stafford's a lot better than a lot of people give him credit for. His time in Detroit wasn't what it should have been. In LA, he's got an innovative offense. We've seen what a competent quarterback looks like in that offense with Aaron Rodgers. I think the Rams are going to be a much improved team there. Tampa Bay, I mean, they kind of snuck up on a lot of people last year. They're not going to have that element of surprise this year, but I think they're still going to be a pretty good team. The East, like you said, absolute mess. The 49ers, if you've got 2 quarterbacks, you've got none. They've got 3 or 4 right now, I think. So until they get that situation figured out, I'm not too concerned. And then Seattle, who knows what happens? Was last year a fluke where everything just kind of went haywire? Or are they actually gonna get back to work here?
Yeah, it will be interesting to see, obviously, the idea that if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. I think the 49ers are a team that's a year away, right? I think they're a year away from getting back to the Super Bowl. I think or maybe not back to the Super Bowl, but they're not going to – I don't think they're winning a championship with Trey Lance sitting on the bench for the first couple of weeks before the season starts. I think the only way that San Francisco actually wins a championship is if Trey Lance starts, because that defense – is still loaded. Fred Warner's there. Their secondary is in a little bit of transition, but that front 7, you still got Nick Bosa, still got some dudes that can get after the quarterback. I think that the 49ers are certainly a team that could bounce back. Seattle, I know they have Russ. I'm just not that concerned about them. Their roster is not very good, I don't think. They have about 6 good players that they're overly reliant on. I don't think that's going to be a big deal on that side of things. I really do. I think this is a situation where the Rams and the Niners and the Seahawks and the Cardinals, even who we didn't mention, are going to beat up on each other all season long, to the point where the Packers could probably steal home field advantage or be in that running with Tampa Bay. But I do think this is a 2-horse race. I'm not as high on Matt Stafford as everyone else seems to be. I think that, everybody treats him like he's a martyr from his days in Detroit. And understandably so. That is a shit franchise. I understand that. But some of that is because of Matthew Stafford. It's not like Stafford was perfect and everything else around him was terrible. I think that the Packers have their ways that they could beat the Rams. They rammed the ball down their defense's throat last year. They were able to make some plays, and the glasses are out, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we wanted. As requested, of course, by the Queen. Aaron is here now. Somebody asking, Todd, you going to put your Trubisky jersey back on?
No. I don't know where it's at.
That's okay. We don't know. I guess Jimmy has it, but we're just going to leave Jimmy in the background. That's going to be okay. But that being said, as far as the Rams go, I do think they'll be better, but I think everybody's penciling this team into the Super Bowl, and that isn't necessarily where I picture this team going. I think the Packers match up really well with them. Brandon Staley, not the defensive coordinator there anymore. There's a lot that I think has to go right for the Rams. I really do. I'm with you, Todd. I think the Packers are in such a great position to where they're going to have a chance, I think, at redemption against Tom Brady and the Bucs at some point. It's just a matter of where that is. Todd, I'm going to ask you before we let you go here, because we got to get Jimmy in, and I know you've got some travel plans, probably to hang out with some moms or something like that. But where the Packers get to the Super Bowl this year, if what, and then Green Bay doesn't get to the Super Bowl if blank.
I'm going to go with the last question first. Green Bay doesn't get to the Super Bowl if Jordan Love has to take meaningful snaps for a significant amount of time. Definitely didn't pass the eye test today. I know it was only a couple of hours that I was able to see him. Just did not look like he's there. I haven't lost hope in the guy. I think, it can take time. And he hasn't played in a game since the Senior Bowl 2 years ago. So let's give him some time, see what he can do in the preseason. They do make the Super Bowl if Kevin King makes the Pro Bowl. If Kevin King makes the Pro Bowl, that's the weak spot on this defense. That means he played his ass off, and they're ready to go.
That they very well could be. He's Todd Varney. You can follow him on Twitter at the Todd V. Catch him every Wednesday night at Lombardi's Bar, one of our favorite bars, along with the Green Bay Distillery. And let's find out once again, for those of you that might have missed it, what do we got going on here in September for Todd's birthday? September 19th at the Green Bay Distillery, right before the Green Bay Packers take on the Detroit Lions for the home opener. Game On Wisconsin is throwing Todd Varney a birthday party. Okay, not really. It's just an ironic coincidence, but we will be throwing a party at the Green Bay Distillery. Food, football, drinks, prizes, all kinds of stuff you can win. If you want to check out our YouTube page, our Twitter page, and our other social media page, Game On Wisconsin, for details. Meet us at the Green Bay Distillery on September 19th. Come meet and greet all of your favorite Game On Wisconsin personalities and have a chance to win some really cool stuff. We hope to see you there. Welcome back, everybody. I'm here again. This is Jacob Westendorf here with Game On Wisconsin, not live in the Game On Wisconsin studios. That being said, I am with Jimmy Christensen, who is not Todd Varney, but they might as well be the same. They're Eskimo brothers, they're fathers of children, they're a bunch of different stuff. There's a lot going on. And yes, Aaron, you can catch those guys Tuesdays on brand and off topic, which is a riot. And what I believe, Aaron, the way I described that, correct me if I'm wrong, it was Jimmy, Todd, and Aaron talk shit for an hour. I think that's the best way to describe it at this point. I do want to give a shout out to a couple people that made this possible. First and foremost, Matt Freilich. He got our table cover, which you guys cannot see unless you're here live at the distillery. And Mike Reddersdorf, my good friend, who supplied the tent so we don't have the sun in our face the entire time. And everybody who's out here, all the beautiful people that have come here to watch the show. But as I mentioned, I am here with Jimmy Christensen now, one of the OGs of Game On Wisconsin. So thrilled he can be part of this event. Jimmy, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I just like coming on here, and I saw Kyle put in the comments, "You suck, Todd," and I just like coming to negativity towards Todd. It just makes me feel right at home.
If there's anybody that knows about someone sucking at something, it's Kyle Hoffenbecker, who is by far one of the worst things we have here at Game On Wisconsin. So Kyle, shout out, congratulations on your new job. I will see you tonight and actually Saturday. Kyle's one of my dudes, and one of the places that keeps me from buying hotel rooms when I come up here for Packers games. So as somebody who has looked at the hotel prices and knows them pretty well, I'm very appreciative of that. Jimmy, welcome to the broadcast. First and foremost, I want to say thank you for coming in. You've done so much for this network here over the first year. We're about a year and 2 weeks old at this point. By this time last year, we were talking about doing a show with Jamal Williams, and I don't know if Big B is here or not, but I feel like I would be remiss to ask, or going through this without asking, how is Jay Swag Daddy?
He's good. He's loving Detroit. As much as I hate to see him in that blue and having fun with another team, he seems to be thriving. He has another opportunity there that he hasn't had in Green Bay. Obviously, he has another running back with DeAndre Swift, but he's the 1A right now. And Swift seems to be the guy that's coming in as a change of pace. So he's happy. He has a new opportunity. I shed a tear every time I see him on the internet, not in green and gold, but he's loving life right now, just like always.
Good to hear. Absolutely a good thing to hear. I think the Packers have a lot going on in terms of their running back situation. It's going to be A.J. Dillon. It's going to be Aaron Jones. So let's start there in the backfield. The third running back battle right now is between Kylan Hill and Patrick Taylor and Dexter Williams. Where do you give the edge to that early after what we've seen today?
It's tough for me. Dexter Williams, I think, is going to have the hardest time making the roster, just because last year we saw that he was a cut at first, and he was brought on to practice squad for a while until that time that Aaron Jones was hurt. Then he was brought on with Jamal. Then Jamal had to miss a game, so Dexter Williams was active again. But they're really excited about Taylor and what he can bring. Today, he had a great catch in the one-on-ones with the linebackers. It was on Chris Barnes, the Packers starting linebacker. He went up and got it, came down with it. It was really impressive to see. I think he might have the edge just because they've been excited to get him back in camp, and he's finally in his first training camp with the Packers, able to perform. He started on the PUP list. He's off now. So I think he has the best chance, but also Kylan Hill, they did spend a draft pick on him. I've seen a few reports that he has made some progress. They were excited. So maybe he could sneak on the roster, but I think it might be Taylor's job to lose.
That it could be. I think that's one of the more interesting battles of camp. I'm going to give the edge right now to Kylan Hill just because he's been there the whole time. It was good news for Taylor that he was able to come off the NFI list as we got here early into camp. You know, the guys who aren't on the injury list or are still on the injury list kind of run some risk of maybe not having a job back. And one of those guys is Kevin King. We saw him doing a workout today, trying to stretch out his hamstring. Your buddy Todd obviously thinks that Kevin King's making the Pro Bowl for various reasons. That is funny. But what are your thoughts on the cornerback situation? And has Eric Stokes, from what you saw today and what you've read, has he done potentially enough to displace Kevin King?
The tough part with Eric Stokes is that he's going at it with Devontae Adams a lot. Roger said he's going to go at him. He's going to make him better. It's not a malicious thing. It's just iron sharpens iron. If you go against the best, you're naturally going to learn some things. So it's hard to judge his training camp so far just because he has been going against Devontae Adams a lot. He has been facing the best wide receiver in the league. So as a rookie coming in, you're not going to shut him down. That's impossible to do as a rookie. So it's hard to judge if he's really going to take Kevin King's spot right now. I think the biggest test is going to be this preseason. And if Kevin King's still not able to get back in the season, those first couple weeks are going to be the times that he can earn that spot because you're not facing Devontae Adams every week. There's no one in the league like him. His get-off's unlike anybody else's. So I think you're not really going to have a true test or a true chance to see if he can take Kevin King's spot until he actually plays another team.
Which they'll have a chance to do here starting next week when they take on the Houston Texans in the preseason opener. Let me go there for a minute, Jimmy, because obviously family night is here this week. That's one of the first thoughts that you have coming into the Packers season. You know, that's kind of their first practice, if you will, for everything like that. But what do you think in terms of things to watch for in that first game against the Houston Texans?
I think one of the things that I'm really excited to see is our linebacker play. Obviously, we have Chris Barnes. Last year, he came in. He was in there week one, but it wasn't the role that everyone expected. He was a practice squad person. We have Campbell back. I'm just excited to see how our linebackers improve with Joe Barry there, if that's going to be a focus point now. Also, obviously, just seeing Jordan Love play. We haven't seen him actually in a game at all in a Packers uniform. Granted, it's going to be preseason, but that's going to be our only glimpse at him as long as Rodgers stays healthy. So if I'm not going to say Jordan Love, I'm an idiot. So Jordan Love's the first thing I'm going to look at. Linebacker, something I'm interested in. And then another spot is just going to be seeing what the cornerbacks can do, because we obviously have Jair Alexander. He can shut anybody down, but behind him is just a lot of unproven depth. With Kevin King, he can either be really good like we saw in that Falcons game, or he can make some boneheaded plays like we saw in the NFC Championship. Behind him is Josh Jackson. Eric Stokes is a rookie. I'm just excited to see what kind of depth we have at that position, who can maybe step up and solidify themselves as the cornerback number 3 or 4 that can come in if someone gets injured.
Jacob Westendorf joined here by Jimmy Christensen. Let's go to that cornerback spot, because something that I saw today that was interesting was in prior years, Jair Alexander would say, no, I prefer the island. I'm not playing in the slot. Today, Eric Stokes, Josh Jackson playing on the outside. And I do want to give a little bit to Josh Jackson here. Devontae Adams, Alan Lazard, they threw a bunch of guys at him, and he passed all of those tests today. The problem with Jackson has always been he's had a nice moment here or there, and it's been accompanied by 3 or 4 bad ones and some really bad ones right in a row. That being said, Jair Alexander playing that slot position is something that could be really interesting because the Packers have a variety of guys that can play the boundary. You have Josh Jackson, you have Eric Stokes, and you guys have Kevin King obviously on the injured list right now. Sorry, Matt Jensen had a question here. We'll get to this in just a minute, Matt. But you have those three guys on the injured list. That is where, or I'm sorry, King's on the injured list. Those three guys can play the boundary. I'm all over the place. That is where things can get interesting, though, is if Alexander can play the slot, because the Packers, you've seen the middle of the defense, and this is the case for everybody, is so vulnerable. And last year was a huge vulnerability for this Packers defense. If Alexander could help you raise some of that, it could be something that's interesting. What are your thoughts on playing him in the middle of the field?
Yeah, if that's something that can improve a weak spot of our defense, that's going to be huge. One thing that we've seen on the Packers offense, and this year we might be seeing a little bit more on the defense, is just the versatility of players. We saw it on the offensive line last year, players moving around when it was needed. And on the defense in that cornerback room, we have so much talent there. Jair Alexander, Rodgers just mentioned the other day in his press conference, he has such a natural feel for it, how he left Devin Funchess and knew that Rodgers was going to throw that out route to Devontae Adams and took it for a pick six. He has such a natural feel that he can fill in multiple spots in that defense. And right now, it might just kind of be an experimental thing. We also saw Kamal Martin at outside linebacker, so they may just be seeing what they have at different positions. What?
The Kamal Martin at outside linebacker thing. Please don't do that.
We did. That was the thing yesterday.
I know that, but I'm saying now is different. When the games matter, please don't do that.
Yeah, I don't know. That's the thing, is like you don't know what they're really going to be doing right now, just experimental, and what they're actually going to use in games. But if he can be someone that can help solidify the middle of the defense, that's huge. Because I just think back to that Colts game. Pittman got a little short pass, a little drag, and it went for a huge touchdown. Like, we have to solidify the middle of the defense because that's where we're weakest. And if our best cornerback can help us do that here and there and also shut down some people on the outside during the same exact game, like, that's a huge asset for our defense.
Let's talk a little bit about that linebacker position. Among some other stuff, something that's been talked about by me and speculated by some others is that the Packers, they have that extra cap space now. Could they potentially make a move, not a small move, but, not a huge move either. They're not trading for like Aaron Donald or something crazy like that. But could they potentially make a move for somebody to help solidify this roster? When you look at this team right now, and obviously injuries are going to play a factor in this as well, but where do you see them potentially targeting a potential trade candidate, or if they do another free agent signing?
Yeah, I actually was talking about this with Maggie yesterday on Pack-A-Day. One of the positions, they worked out 4 tight ends last week. They ended up bringing in Daniel Crawford in. With Sternberger having a 2-game suspension, Daphne's out. DeGuara just came off the PUP list, and so he's able to participate again. But maybe they're just looking to bring someone in at that position because right now it is a little weak. The first 2 games, they really just have DeGuara, Tunyon, and Lewis. And with DeGuara, you don't know if he's going to have a full load week 1. So maybe that tight end position, they're looking to bring somebody in again to help solidify that. Another one that I could see is on the defensive line, but I think if they bring someone in, they brought in Josh Avery, maybe they make a splash move and bring in maybe a bigger name that's still out there. But besides that, I really don't know what position they could really bring someone in to help. Offensive line, they have so many weapons that they've been moving around and trying to see where they fit. They have the talent there. Now it's just the kind of seeing who's earning those spots to actually have that starting roles or the backup roles. They have talent and depth at that position. So I would have to say maybe defensive line, defensive tackle specifically. Maybe with Ramsey being out, they look to bring in another outside linebacker just to be that maybe Kyle Fackrell role that Preston Smith was talking about in his press conference. But I really don't know if they're going to make a big splash with this roster right now. It's pretty solid, but they do have that cap room, so I could just be talking on my ass at this point.
Well, and that's kind of what we do here anyways, so that's totally fine that that's the case. But, when I think about it, I look at last year, and last year they were obviously in at the deadline on a guy like Will Fuller, who's a wide receiver, currently in Miami. And then the other one that they were in on that didn't get as much run as maybe it should have is current Minnesota Viking, Dalvin Tomlinson, as the Packers were looking to solidify their defensive line room. And that's where I think you look first. It's the easiest thing to see. They have Kenny Clark. You feel all right about Kingsley Keke if he can get on the field. And then it really is TJ Slayton, and then with all due respect to Dean Lowry and Tyler Lancaster, they're just replacement level players. So if you're looking for an impact guy to switch, that could be one spot. The other thing could be if Kevin King is injured and Eric Stokes isn't ready for prime time, it's certainly possible, I think, that they look into a cornerback. Not Xavier Howard. That's not going to happen, as fun as that would be. But I do think they could do something at that position to just find a veteran stopgap kind of thing that's a little bit higher quality than say someone like they did last year. Again, all due respect to Tremont Williams and Kevin King, who they brought back this year, but maybe somebody a little higher quality than that. But I will bet you whatever it is you guys want to bet right now, the Green Bay Packers will 100%, write it in ink, Sharpie, whatever you want to call it, they will make a move at the trade deadline this year to add somebody. That is part of, to me, what all in to win a championship this year means. So I think Gutekunst will do it. I think there will be some pressure from the shadow general manager, and the Packers will be able to do that. Let's do one final topic before we sign out here and get off of these guys' front lawn. Again, live here at the Green Bay Distillery, Game On Wisconsin, doing big moves here with two of the original members of this group. Matt Jensen, he of the Freezer Podcast, which you can catch every Monday at 7:30 right here, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, and find them here every Monday at 7:30. You'll catch them right before or right as Monday Night Football is going. And why would you want to watch some of the crappy teams that play on Monday Night Football anyways when you can just watch a Packers show? I think that's a much better use of your time anyways. But shout out to Matt Jensen for jumping in. He said, when you guys said Jordan Love didn't pass the eye test today at practice, what were you seeing? To me, there were some moments. He did have some splash plays, like I mentioned. He hit MVS on a deep ball early. He had a couple throws over the middle. And the other thing that you have to understand is what we could see versus what we couldn't based on where we were sitting. But we were able to see the team periods. And to me, my thought is any quarterback can look good in 7-on-7. They have so many 7-on-7 trainings throughout the offseason, camps. These guys basically grow up playing 7-on-7 football in passing leagues right now. Jordan Love was rough in team today, and I don't think there's any question about that. He had a duck that he and Reggie Begelton, they said they weren't on the same page, threw a wobbler that was intercepted by Christian Uphoff. That's not a good thing. You obviously don't want to turn the ball over. They didn't score in the red zone period. The thing that you want to see is somebody once said, Will Blackman was asked once, how did you guys know that 12 was ready when you still had Brett Favre? And his answer to me was when they switched from first to second team and there was no difference in terms of quality of quarterback play. Now, I'm not asking for that because asking Jordan Love to be Aaron Rodgers as a second-year player is asking for a lot. Aaron Rodgers is one of the 5 best quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. He's the most talented quarterback, other than maybe Patrick Mahomes, that I have ever seen. Probably never going to be considered the greatest quarterback of all time because there's a guy named Tom Brady who exists, and he's done quite a few things. That is a shout-out for the audience that is in the background here. Thank you for letting me do that. That being said, I'm not asking for him to be Jordan Love or for Jordan Love to be Aaron Rodgers. But there is a very noticeable difference between the two quarterbacks right now. And if the Packers are going to move on to Jordan Love next season, you have to be able to feel good about doing that. And right now, if Jordan Love had to start a game tomorrow, I mean, I'm nervous before games anyways, but Jimmy, I would be nervous. I don't think there's any question about that.
Oh, 100%. Like you said, there's a huge difference in the number ones and then the numbers 2 coming in. The interception was the big one. It also seemed like he was just really indecisive. He was holding on to the ball a long time. I remember distinctly there was one play, Amari Rodgers was open in the middle. He missed that opportunity. Then he was holding a little bit longer and then ended up just having a check down to the running back that maybe got a yard or 2. But it just seems like he's overthinking it. It's not a natural flow for him at this point, which it is only his second year. This is really the first time he had like the OTAs mini camp and now training camp. Last year, obviously he had training camp, but it was a weird year with COVID. It's just, you can tell he's not up to that level yet. And I know Rodgers didn't look how Rodgers looks right now, but going there for the first time, seeing him, does he have talent? Absolutely. Jacob already mentioned that pass to MVS. He had a good connection with Begelton on the sideline on an out route. Begelton wasn't able to get both feet down, but he fit a ball in between, like double coverage. It was a beautiful pass. Just didn't end up being a completion, but the ball was perfectly placed. It's just now making that a little more consistent because right now it's just a roller coaster up and down. So with more time, it's going to get there. But right now we just have to wait till that happens.
Yeah, and I will say this. The arm talent is evident. He can zip it. He can spin it. Whatever phrasing you want to use for Jordan Love. He could certainly do that. It's just right now it's getting that game to slow down for him, so to speak. You've heard about some of these guys, Jair Alexander, I think, said the game is like a snail's pace right now for him. And that's a good thing. Doesn't feel like you're doing all kinds of stuff. You'll see that, something that hit me today that I saw, I think it was Zach Cruz tweeted about Jordan Love's press conference, how he hasn't played a real football game since the Senior Bowl the year he was drafted. That is crazy to me that it's been that long. Just that it'll have been as long as it is by the time he plays that first preseason game next week for that. So that's where you're going to get your developmental steps. That's where you're going to see some guys trying to get a chance to make the roster. And we've had plenty of guys have an opportunity to make our roster. I want to have a special shout out to Matt Freilich, Todd Varney, and Jimmy Christensen for hanging out today. Hadley Christensen is also here as well, and she behaved herself very well. She only ran through the show once, so that was good. That was fun to see. Appreciate you guys coming out here. We'll be back out here on Saturday afternoon with some other guys just kind of talking about what to expect for family night and doing all kinds of fun stuff. And a shout out, of course, to the Green Bay Distillery for letting us sit on their front lawn and doing all that stuff. You guys can come here Sunday, September 19th, starting at 3 p.m. Come hang out with us, have a chance to win some prizes. Jimmy, let's see. What do we have here? I think I have, I have a signed jersey by Preston Smith. I have a signed jersey by Robert Tunyon. You'll have a chance to win those. I've got a signed photo of Nick Collins. We've got a lot of stuff going on here. And the other thing, we're certainly going to be able to get some more stuff, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to have a lot of really cool prizes over here. Make sure you come by, swing by the distillery. It's going to be a fun time. I had a few beers here. They're delicious. So make sure get that grassy place. If you're here, get the grassy place. You won't regret it.
I am a Wisconsinite transfer. Home is where the heart is. My heart belongs in Wisconsin, so this is my home. I'm a spotted cow drinker, so I have had a few of those today as well. Come here, get the curd burger. You guys can hang out with us. We'll be doing a live show here that day. That's something we just found out today, so that's a nice thing. Before the Packers take on Jay Swag Daddy, Jamal Williams, and the Detroit Lions, we're going to have Hadley come in and I guess say hello here before we sign off. Catch us out. Check us out, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. You guys can subscribe, like, follow, all that good stuff there. The next time you'll catch me will be here Saturday afternoon, and I am doing the Pick Six podcast every Wednesday, and it'll be Jimmy and I on Wednesday morning doing the Pick Six podcast. Hadley Christensen, ladies and gentlemen, says hello to all of you. You can catch Jimmy every Wednesday with me on the Pack a Day podcast if you want to do that, and also Wednesday nights at Lombardi's Bar. Until then, we will see you guys next time. Thank you for listening. Thank you so much to everybody who came out and talked to us today. We had a lot of fun out here. Again, we'll be here Saturday. If you're going to be here for family night, come say hello. Come find me. I'll be there. I'll be inside the stadium. It'll be a lot of fun. We'll be able to hang out, have a couple drinks, do whatever it is that we want to do. Whatever it is you guys do at family night. It is my first experience, so I'm excited about that. My whole family will be there. I'll be there. I look forward to seeing you guys. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next time.